Yeah, go ahead.
On your call with President Putin today,
Yeah.
you'd mentioned that the Pope would like to take a role potentially in mediating these talks. Does that mean that the U.S. is taking a step back from...
No. I think it would be great to have it at the Vatican. Maybe it would have some extra significance. And I saw that it was discussed yesterday, so I thought, and people told me that they'd be honored to do it. I would imagine they would be. So, no, I think it would be maybe helpful. There's tremendous bitterness, anger, and I think maybe that could help some of that anger. So having it at the Vatican would be, in Rome, would be I think it would be a great idea. Thank you.
Mr. President, as you know,
President Trump says Russia and Ukraine will begin talks aimed at a ceasefire after he spoke on the phone with both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday.
We have to get that thing solved. 5,000 young people every single week on average. And I've seen satellite pictures. You don't want to see these pictures. We'll have to see what happens. This was not my war. This is not a war that would have happened if I were president. This is not my war. I'm just here to try and help.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has more for us from the White House. Good morning, Natalie. So the horrors of this war have been clear for a number of years now, but after these calls, where do things really stand?
Good morning, Errol. Well, President Trump says he believes in his mind that progress was made following this series of calls yesterday, starting with Russian President Putin. And as you alluded to in the opening, he says that Russia and Ukraine will start immediate negotiations. But keep in mind, negotiations have been ongoing, and direct talks between delegations began last Friday. We know from that both sides are supposed to be coming up with a document detailing their vision for a ceasefire on the pathway to eventually ending the war. President Zelensky of Ukraine remains very skeptical that Putin wants to end the war, wants peace. President Trump, when asked about this yesterday, said he believes that Putin does want peace ultimately. And he also alluded to Putin wanting large-scale trade with the U.S. and said that that's something that could potentially happen if the war ends. What he calls the catastrophic bloodbath is finally over. And yesterday, the vice president also kind of reiterating that point that the U.S.'s position is that there could be economic benefits if there is a thawing relationship between Russia and the rest of the world, but that would not happen. Those benefits would not happen if Russia continues to kill innocent people. So what remains to be seen is where negotiations go from here. Zelensky, in a social media post yesterday, urged the U.S. to continue to stay close to these talks, even as, the White House has signaled their patience is not unlimited. Zelensky also saying his position, Ukraine has been ready for a full and unconditional ceasefire, and he's urging the U.S. to put stronger sanctions on Russia if they indicate they are not ready to stop the killings. We know that is something, Errol, that lawmakers over on Capitol Hill are also talking about, sanctions.
Yeah, and one of those major things Russia is resisting. So you wonder, where will the sides agree? Natalie Brand with the latest for us. Thank you for that.
President Trump spoke with Vladimir Putin in a 2.5-hour call where he appeared to back off his pressure on the Russian president for an immediate ceasefire. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz has the story. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. The call between Putin and Trump was lengthy and seemingly friendly. The two addressed one another by first names, but there is no sign that anything significant happened in the pursuit of peace. Overnight, President Trump at a Kennedy Center event at the White House saying his call showed signs of progress, referring to the man who started the deadly war as a gentleman.
My little conversation with a nice gentleman named Vladimir Putin.
Despite the laughter, Russia's brutal assault on Ukraine, now in its fourth year, shows no sign of stopping, despite President Trump's optimism right after the call.
I think something's going to happen. It's a got very big egos involved, I tell you. Big egos involved. But I think something's going to happen. And if it doesn't, I'd just back away and they're going to have to keep going.
President Trump may want it to wrap up, and Ukraine's President Zelensky certainly does, already committing to a 30-day ceasefire. But there were no breakthroughs with Russia, no indication that Vladimir Putin intends to join a ceasefire, and no indication of any real pressure on Putin.
I said, when are we going to end this, Vladimir? I've known him for a long time now. I said, when are we going to end this bloodshed, this bloodbath? It's a bloodbath. And I do believe he wants to end it.
Trump also reaffirming his trust in Vladimir Putin, but saying that Ukraine and Russia should do the negotiating now, suggesting the two sides meet at the Vatican after an invitation from Pope Leo to host any meetings that might come of this. But there is no indication anything has been scheduled. Ukraine's President Zelensky, who spoke to President Trump twice on Monday, said he reaffirmed to Trump that Ukraine is ready for a full and unconditional ceasefire. But if Russia is not ready to stop the killing, he said, there must be stronger sanctions. George?
And that's what we've seen for the last several weeks. Okay, Martha, thanks very much.